Okay, we're now live. Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be able to talk with Tracy Robinson, who is the Prairie Region Director of Sales with Manulife. Tracy is my rep or my BDM for Manulife. For the mortgage insurance that I offer, I refer to it as MPP. Um, and I'm going to get a little mushy here. She is one of the most genuine and one of the most lovely people, and probably one of the most favorite people for everybody and within our industry. And I am so thankful that that you're able to take some time and talk with us about mortgage life insurance. And so here's for my disclaimers. The dogs are sitting right beside me. Hopefully they're not going to bark. If they bark, I apologize. The second disclaimer that was brought up on the last video was things can change down the road. The things that we discuss right now are what's in place now, and if there could be changes down the road to policies and to requirements and whatnot. So within our industry, we blink and things change. So just the way things go. So Tracy, thank you very much for coming on. Very excited to have you be able to chat with my viewers, I guess if that's what you want to call them. And yeah, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. And thank you for allowing me time to chat with you. Again, I'm a little bit mushy on my end, but I get to know so many of my mortgage brokers and they become true friends. And I think that's why it's so important for our relationship to establish, good conversations with each other and meaningful. And I really appreciate the time. So as far as I am concerned, I've been with Manulife just going on 11 years now. Been working specifically in the Prairie region. So I look after Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. And what I do is my role is to assist mortgage brokers and mortgage agents in having what I like to say a meaningful and understood conversation in 5 minutes or less about mortgage protection for the borrowers to protect themselves and their debt, that big debt that they carry on their homes against disability and worst case scenarios, death. So it's really an important part of the mortgage solution conversation that needs to have a little bit more focus.
Completely. And I have to tell you, before we really started talking, it's been a few years now. I was of the mindset that mortgage insurance was bad, right? That's what you hear. You hear mortgage insurance is bad, but it has a time and a place and everybody can benefit from it. So now I am a huge advocate of being adequately insured, because throughout my career and throughout my life, I'm getting older, I see when bad things happen. And I always think that it's when you're prepared that you don't need those things. So, it's when you're not prepared that it really, really hurts. So,
And that's the thing about any kind of insurance is you have to get it before you need it. And you're right, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions, especially with the mortgage creditor insurance, which is the specific product we're talking about today that mortgage brokers offer. And one thing I will say, what's very confusing for borrowers as well as even people in our industry is that there are so many of those products available, and just like mortgages look different according to the lender and the product, there's a whole bunch of different types of mortgages available. It's the same thing even within mortgage creditor insurance. There's different lenders have different products. There's different underwriting requirements for those, just like there is on the mortgage end of things. And that's why it's so confusing. And there's been a lot of bad press around mortgage creditor insurance for well over 10, 15 years now because of the differences in products and unfortunately the lack of education out there on those products. So we're really proud to have something available that really works for the borrowers, really really works for the mortgage broker industry and really does protect consumers against that debt that they carry on the largest asset that they have. So I think that's the biggest thing, Lisa, is the confusion around, and that's why some people think it's a bad product. Some are bad products. There are some insurance products out there in the space that are not as well received and well managed as other ones. And that's why the discussion today is so important, is to really provide you, your borrowers, with peace of mind, knowing that if they go with, the service that you're offering with Manulife MPP coverage, that it really is a well-rounded, affordable, and easy to get type of coverage, so that they can sleep at night and know that it's still within their budget to have a plan B in place.
Yeah. Some of the things that I get when I bring up the insurance will be, "Oh, well, I have coverage through work." And one of the things that you taught me to ask the question was, "Okay, if you don't work, if something happens and you end up not working with this company anymore, are you still covered?" So
Mhm.
that's been a very interesting question to ask. When I ask the question, the lights will kind of go on like, "Oh, I haven't thought of that." So it just allows me, like the training that you've provided me and helping me to be better for my clients has really been amazing. So
Thank
just
you.
those little tidbits that I've gotten from you, and just the trainings, like I said, has been amazing. So tell a little bit about the product, I guess, or you
I
lead.
do want to address that concern that you just said. So many people rely on work benefits, and what's really interesting is that out of 67% of Canadians that have insurance, 44% of them rely on work benefits. And what we see in our experiences, and I've been dealing with life insurance for a number of years, is work benefits are not designed to pay a mortgage. That's not what they're designed for. So the MPP product, again, we like to refer to it in our industry as MPP. It's mortgage protection plan, and it's an exclusive product that's offered through mortgage brokers. So you can't get it at the bank. You can't get it through a life insurance agent. It's specifically designed product through mortgage brokers to help those clients that are getting their mortgage arranged through a mortgage broker. So we have some features and benefits that are exclusive to the MPP product. One of those is bridge benefits. We are the only insurance provider that offers bridge benefits. Now, what does that mean? When a life claim comes through our door, we immediately start taking over those mortgage payments until that claim is settled. So in essence, what that does, someone's going through a very emotional time anyway when a life claim, because someone's had a loss of life. So it's a highly emotional, stressful time. But what we're doing with that bridge benefits is actually taking the financial stress off of that claimant, so that they know that while they're going through this very difficult time, they're not having the financial stress of still having to continue making those mortgage payments until that claim is settled. And that's probably one of the biggest benefits we have on the life product.
That's amazing. You know what? I didn't even know that. So I love that I'm learning more.
Yeah,
Another thing that I think is pretty amazing is that when you're purchasing a home, I'm presenting the MPP, the mortgage protection plan, when I'm presenting my mortgage commitment. So, that's we've gotten the lender's approval. So you're getting the MPP in there too. And isn't it true that the clients have the option to be covered from that moment on, even if they haven't taken possession yet?
absolutely. And that's another really great feature of the MPP product that differs from some of those other mortgage creditor insurance products out there in the space. We offer immediate coverage. So even prior to funding dates, even prior to establishing your health, because that's another important feature that we offer is upfront underwriting. But with the immediate coverage, It doesn't matter how far out your funding date is. We recognize that you've already waived those conditions. So you are under obligation, no matter what happens to your health, to complete that obligation, that legal contract that you've signed with either a builder or, a real estate contract. So it's important for us to recognize that there's a huge risk for the borrower between the time that they waive those conditions and they actually, the mortgage gets funded. So we offer that immediate coverage. We will still work with the borrowers to make sure that we complete that underwriting during that process. But we've had situations where we've actually paid out a mortgage prior to funding date. So we've had to have the lender actually fund the mortgage so that we could pay it out. So it's a huge benefit for the borrower to have that immediate coverage.
Yeah, that's amazing. I like that because again, it's one of those things that typically one of the things that I hear is, "Oh, well, I think I've got enough coverage. I'll get back to it." And we know how life goes. It's how long until you get back to it, right? So this way, at least if you take the coverage as soon as it's offered, then you've got some form of coverage while you're confirming what you have.
Absolutely. The worst kind of insurance is no insurance.
Exactly.
So, and the other thing that we offer is, again, we have a disability product that's separate from the life. So if someone does, in fact, have enough life coverage, um, they can still secure a plan B to cover off that monthly mortgage obligation. Um, I mean, when we look at our claims experiences, a large number of our claims are disability. It's not all life claims, and people forget that. They think of insurance as life insurance only. 89% of Canadians don't have disability insurance, which is really scary when we're looking at the amount of debt to income that Canadians are carrying now. For every dollar that we earn, on average, Canadians are spending $1.74. They're not establishing savings patterns anymore. We're living in the moment. I always like to say everyone knows we're living on borrowed time, but to add to that, we're now living on borrowed money. So it's important to have some kind of plan B, even if you're off work for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. In our experiences, the average amount of time someone is off on disability in our claims experience is 10 months. So you have to ask yourself, not only, I might need 2 incomes to qualify for this mortgage debt, but what does it look like if I lose the ability to earn an income due to illness, injury, or accident? How am I going to make this mortgage payment? And that's where mortgage protection plan is really a saving grace for, again, when we're talking about most borrowers, this might be their only form of coverage that they have.
Yeah, it gets my heart beating a little fast when I hear people aren't covered. With the disability, you don't need with MPP, you don't need to have the life portion. Like you can take it individually, correct? That's what you're saying. So you can take one or the other or both.
Absolutely, both. And a really important aspect of our disability coverage is we are actually assessing your coverage based on your health. It has nothing, not your occupation or your income. So even borrowers that may have different employment statuses, self-employed, full-time, seasonal, part-time, unemployed, stay at home, people that work just inside of the home, maybe not earning an income from it, but they're doing probably one of the hardest jobs is
Yeah.
maintaining the home and the family. They're eligible as long as they're on the mortgage and title or one or the other, they're eligible to apply for the MPP coverage. So, and it truly is based on your health. So, and we're not going to make you do any job. We're not establishing, there are some insurance products out there where if you can do any job whatsoever, there is a risk that the claim may not be approved. With a mortgage protection plan specifically, we're looking at if you're unable to perform the duties of your job, or if you're not working, or if you're not earning an income, we look at the 5 acts of daily living. If you're unable to perform 2 of the 5 acts of daily living, that's considered total disability. So it's really a very robust product comparatively to a lot of those other products in the space.
That's I'm I'm loving this. I'm learning more and more throughout our conversation. So, I really, I know I've said this. I can't believe how much I learn from you every time we talk about this, and it's
Appreciate that, Lisa. I hope I can bring some value to it. And, I think one of the biggest things, though, borrowers have to look at is because there's so many offers being thrown in front of them, even through the mortgage transaction, is to remember that this is also a product that follows them, goes with them. It's the portability aspect is probably, in my mind, the number one feature for your borrowers is the fact that once they apply and are approved for their coverage with MPP, that coverage stays with them from property to property and lender to lender as long as they have a mortgage to protect. So when you're moving through your life cycle of your mortgage, there's always new products that come up. We've seen a lot of really crazy things going on with interest rates and things like that.
yeah.
So people do tend to maybe not stay with the same lender because maybe because of your life circumstances, you require a different mortgage solution. So when you're moving me over to my next mortgage solution, I take my coverage with me. I don't have to reapply. I don't have to go through underwriting. My premiums aren't going to increase because I'm older. So it's really, again, we talk about that word robust. It's really a well-rounded product for your borrowers, for sure.
And that's one of the other things that could happen too, and this happened to me personally, is thank goodness we had insurance in place, but due to a health issue, I'm uninsurable,
Mhm.
right? So there's sometimes again where if you've got your life insurance tied or your mortgage insurance tied to your lender, the actual lender has offered it, and you're not with that lender anymore, then you don't have that insurance in place. So there's so much to learn about uh, the best type of product for each client in each situation.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about our product is, we have the information available. You don't have to be an expert in insurance to know. It's very easy. Like I mentioned earlier, it's affordable. It's quicker than most of, if you come to me as a life license agent to get individual insurance, you have to make appointments, you have to, and I mean, with COVID and the pandemic, things are different, but we've always had a very streamlined process. And now we've introduced an ability for your borrower to actually apply through a digital application. So that can all be done in 2 minutes or less. And it's fully underwritten up front, which is, one of the biggest scary things as we hear is, oh, I've been paying premiums for years and, I got declined my coverage at claim time. That there, the when we talk about underwriting, it's just like when you qualify for a mortgage, there's certain aspects that the lender needs to verify and qualify for you to be able to get that mortgage obligation. It's the same with insurance. So different products have different underwriting requirements. Some have no underwriting. And that's when it gets scary because if they're not assessing your health, then at claim time, there's a higher risk of not being able to pay that claim. So the Manulife truly believes with the mortgage protection plan, we fully underwrite on the onset of the application. So we determine your risk and your health and put coverage in place based on what your current health is today. And as I mentioned, we've got that portability. So as I age and if I have health concerns come up, it's not a concern for me because I've already been underwritten.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Is there anything else that you think that clients should know offhand that's important? I think we've covered
I
pretty good.
do. I do want to stress the importance of having some plan B in place. As I mentioned, there's so many Canadians where of the first world countries, we are the most underinsured, underprotected. And I really want people to remind themselves and understand that this shouldn't be considered an additional expense when you're going to get a mortgage obligation in place, when you're qualifying for that mortgage to have, what you're looking for in your life and your quality of life, you want to make sure you're able to maintain that. So don't think of whether you get it through yourself, Lisa, or they get it somewhere else. Don't think of it as an added expense, because as we first discussed, you can only get it when you don't need it.
Yeah.
And everyone needs it. If you owe a dollar, earn a dollar, have an obligation to someone else, um, you're obligated to protect yourselves and your and your family against that debt. I see so many situations, unfortunately, on my end, where someone decided they didn't need it, and then something happens, and they can't get it. And they're stuck between a rock and a hard place at that point. They're forced to sell a home. They're forced to make a decision. And having some form of protection in place also protects you from having to make a decision.
When you're already stressed and you're already emotional and maybe not thinking clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And
And
oh,
if one more thing is ask questions. If you're not sure, it's okay not to, get comparisons, just find out, get educated, get information, but trust when your broker says that they're dealing with an insurance provider that they support. They do that for a reason, is because we all work together, and we talked about our own relationship here. I want to do business with people that I trust, but I also want them to be referring me to partners that they trust.
yeah,
So it's ask the questions, and don't be afraid to take the coverage and review your options either before, during, or after.
exactly. So I think we have covered it. Or do you have any more tidbits?
Oh, God, I could talk for days on insurance.
I love it. I love it.
You know what? It's because it's that important. But I just, as I already said, is, the worst insurance is no insurance.
Yeah.
And, ask the questions, but get some form of protection in place. And if you feel like you're not sure, it's okay to come back. The nice thing about our product, Lisa, is your clients, even if they've waived with you before, if they want to revisit that at any time, they can do that. You can get the coverage in place for them, and they can, we have a 60-day money back guarantee. So it's easy. We make it easy for people to get coverage. And unfortunately, in our industry, we make it too easy for people to say no.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. I really do like the 60-day back as well. That's one of the big perks about it. So if anybody that's watching this has, if this is, if it's triggering something in you, reach out to me, ask questions. I can get you in contact with the licensed professionals in that area if that's what you need. If any of my former clients, if you waived that MPP, I am going to be reaching out to a few of you over the next little while just to see how things are going, because we know life's changing so fast right now, and we can't necessarily keep up. But I want to make sure that I'm doing my job and reaching out to you and making sure that you're adequately covered. So if anybody has any questions at all, feel free to reach out. I'm very happy that my dogs once again behaved and there was no barking, so that's good. And I have to thank you, Tracy, for taking the time out. Um, I know how busy we all are, especially with, Zoom meetings up the wazoo. We're all with Zoom here, Zoom there, Zoom everywhere, and it's I just can't thank you enough for our partnership.
Oh, well, I appreciate it again. And I'm always here to provide any kind of information I can to you for your borrowers. And I just stay safe, stay well, wear your masks.
Yeah, yeah.
And happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. I hope everyone has a safe and happy. I know it's going to be a quiet Christmas, but yeah, just continue to be kind to each other. And thank you for your time, Lisa.
Oh, this is why I love you. Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. As always, if you have any questions, leave them on the video. I will look through, get back to you as soon as possible, and we will chat soon.